Okay. What types of debt are covered under the law? You have important rights under the FDCPA for your credit card debt, car loans, medical bills, student loans, mortgage, and other household debts. Business debts are not covered by the FDCPA. Are debt collectors allowed to contact me at any time or place? No, the law limits how and when a debt collector can contact you about covered debts. Now let's go down here to when they can contact you, right? Or what they can't do when they're contacting you. They can't contact you before 8 a.m. or 9 p.m. or after 9 p.m. unless you agree to it. I don't know who's agreeing to allow debt collectors to constantly call them. You can cease and desist them, and in that cease and desist, you can let them know, I only wish to be contacted via mail. Please stop calling me. If they do continue to call you, it is, it could be a TCPA, which is a Telephone Communication Practices Act violation. Now, so a lot of people allow them to call because under that, you know, even though it says before 8 a.m. and or after 9 p.m., that's that's unless you agree to anything outside of that. But it also means if I want you to call me in general, if I tell you to cease communication via t- t- uh, telephone calls and I only wish to be contacted through the mail, you're still violating the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And just because the Federal Trade Commission says that you can contact me before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m., that's only assumed. That's only assumed. The FDCPA itself says it's only assumed. They can only assume that's a reasonable time to contact you. Unless what? Unless you tell them otherwise. Because these debt collectors literally have no power unless you give it to them. Okay? And we are on the Federal Trade Commission's website, which is a government agency that protects consumers. Can't contact you at work if you tell them you're not allowed to get calls there. Okay? Again, you have to let them know. Can't contact you by email or text message if you ask them to stop. Can't call you more than 7 times within a 7-day period or within 7 days after talking to you by phone about a particular debt. So remember, just because they can call or they can assume it's a reasonable time to call before 8 a.m. or after, after 8 a.m. and before 9 p.m., that still doesn't mean that they can blow your phone up between these hours, right? They can only call you, they can't call you more than 7 times within a 7-day period, okay? Or within 7 days after talking to you by phone. Can't privately message you on social media if you ask them to stop. Again, these are things that you have to instruct them not to do. How are debt collectors allowed to contact me? Debt collectors can call you, contact you by private message on social media, or send letters, emails, or text messages to collect the debt. Remember, though, in the Federal Trade Commission, the way they set it up, they let you know these first, okay? Now, they can contact you, but you got to give them permission, right? And if they are contacting you and you want them to stop, you have the power to do that as well. What does the debt collector have to tell me about the debt? A collector has to give you validation information about the debt either when they first communicate with you or within 5 days of the first contact. So, a collector has to give you about that when they first communicate with you or within 5 days of the first contact. Okay? So normally you have something which is what is called a dunning period before debt collectors put things on your credit report. So that is the time to actually send that debt validation letter and dispute the debt before it even gets on your credit profile, right? Again, it's kind of like a win-win regardless when it comes to these debt collectors, because one, they have no authorities to collect because you never signed a contract with them, and even though they sold your debt, companies only sold your debt. They didn't sell they cannot sell or buy your personal information. You see what I'm saying? So whereas, like, for example, right, a debt collector, they have to gotta let me know, okay, that or how you got my full social security number. You can't just have that information. You can't just buy that information, right? Like sometimes when they send you things, even on lawsuits, when debt collectors try to sue you for debts or alleged debts, right? Some information that they're looking at or that they send you is redacted. No, show me the full thing. You saying this is me? You saying this is my alleged debt? You accusing me and saying that I owe you? Prove it. Because I gave Capital One, for example, my full social security number. But do you notice how debt collectors, they 9 times out of 10, they don't have your full social security number? And if they do, where did you get that information from? That's a violation of my privacy rights. I entered into a consumer transaction with Capital One and they sold you my personal information. Again, now you can buy the debt and the information associated with that debt, but you cannot buy my personal information. Okay, so these are the things that a debt collector must communicate with you about the debt. Their name and mailing address, the name of the creditor you owe it to. Now, peep how they say the name of the creditor you owe it to, because even the Federal Trade Commission is like, now, the name of the creditor you owe it to, right? Like if I'm in debt to one company and then another company buys it after the first company already done wrote it off and said this is uncollectible. I mean, once you sell it to a second company, like, do I really owe you? I don't owe you. How much money you owe, written out to include interest, fees, payments, and credits. So that's really important because, again, when they're coming after you, right? First of all, you want to cross-reference with the original creditor to make sure they're not trying to tell you owe more than what you actually owe. And then you also want to cross-reference on your credit report as well. What's showing up on there? What to do if you don't think it's your debt. So they have to let you know pretty much your rights. They have to let you know if you don't think this is your debt, you can dispute it with us. You can, they have to let you know these things. Your debt collection rights, including your right to get information about the original creditor if you ask for it within 30 days of getting validation information from the collector. How do I stop a debt collector from contacting me? We talked about this, but we're going to see what the Federal Trade Commission says. Mail a letter to the collection company and ask it to stop contacting you. Keep a copy for yourself. Consider sending the letter certified mail and paying for a return receipt. That way you'll have a record the collector got it. Once the collection company gets your letter, it can only contact you to confirm it will stop contacting you in the future, or to tell you it plans to take a specific action like filing a lawsuit. Okay? If an attorney is representing you, tell the collector, right? Because if you're being represented by an attorney, they have to speak with your attorney, not you. But consider talking to the collector at least once. And I always recommend the same thing. Like, yes, you can tell them to stop contacting you, but I mean, again, why would you leave money on the table, right? Let them rack up the violations. Let them rack up the violations. Not only is it such an empowering feeling when you beat them at their own game, you're getting informed along the way, you're getting empowered along the way, and you're also getting paid to go after debt collectors. Okay? Can a debt collector contact anyone else about my debt? Generally, a debt collector can't discuss your debt with anyone but you or your spouse. If you've told the collector an attorney is representing you, the collector must contact the attorney. A collection company can contact other people to find out your address, your home phone number, and where you work, but usually it can't contact them more than once, and it can never tell them you owe a debt. So the FDCPA goes in depth with that as well. So if you want to find out more about that, you can read the FDCPA. Now, something that I wanted to bring up, again, they have these things, and even when trying to find out your current information, because again, when they buy your debt, that company is letting them know already that you're buying this debt as is, right? I can't guarantee you that this person even actually owns the debt. I can't guarantee you that this information is correct. I can't guarantee you that these people are going to pay. Because for one, if we go back up here, they don't even know you. So when they buy that debt, they just it's only you only give it power. You only give it power to be collectible, because again, I mean, what can they really prove without all of the information, without all of your updated information, without all of the pieces to the puzzle? I mean, how can they come after you, right? Okay. What are debt collectors not allowed to do? Collectors can harass you. For example, collectors can threaten to hurt you, can't use obscene or profane language, can't tell you more than 7 times within a 7-day period or within 7 days after talking to you on the phone about a particular debt. Collectors can't lie. For example, collectors can't tell you that you owe a different amount than what you actually owe. Okay, so that's violation 1. Can't pretend to be an attorney or from the government. How many times have you got a contact in the mail about a debt, and they're claiming that, they're an attorney? They're an attorney working on behalf of the original creditor. Prove it. Prove it. Again, y'all, when y'all are dealing with debt collectors, prove it. Prove it. In anything, the burden of proof is on them. If you take me to court, the burden of proof is on you. Okay? If you're coming after me, you saying I owe something, the burden of proof is on you. Just like police officers. When they read you your Miranda rights, they mean that. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Against you. If you don't wish to speak, a lawyer will be, you can have a lawyer present. They mean that. They literally tell you that. How many times have you watched a police video and they read their Miranda rights and they start talking? They're literally piecing together a investigation. Go watch the videos on YouTube, y'all. There's plenty of them. They're conducting an investigation because what? You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Okay. Can't tell you that you'll be arrested or claim they'll take legal action against you if it's not true. That's crazy, because can't tell you that you'll be arrested because you can't. And really, you can't prove it. You can't prove it, because if you don't have facts, all you can go is off of what I tell you. That's the only way that you can trick me up. Because when you bought that debt from the creditor, from the original creditor, when you bought that debt from them, they told you that we can't prove that they even owe the debt. We can't prove that they're going to pay. We can't prove these things. So when they're calling you, you got to be careful, because first of all, they do this on a regular. Honestly, they're like semi-legal, professional, like legitimate scam companies. They talk fast. They get information out of you and they use it against you. They use it against you. That's why you always communicate with them via mail, especially when you're first starting out consumer law. because you want to see in writing. You want proof in writing. Now, when you get a little bit more seasoned, excuse me, y'all, when you get a little bit more seasoned, you can get on the phone with these debt collectors and shut them down. Okay? But first, starting out, you want to see. You want to have it in writing. Can't tell you that you'll be right. Okay. Collectors can't treat you unfairly. For example, collectors can't try to collect interest, fees, or other charges on top of the amount you owe unless the original contract or law says they can. Okay. This is interesting, right? Because it says unless the original contract or a law says they can. Okay. So if you purchase a contract from the original creditor, and because I'm just gonna naturally assume that when the Federal Trade Commission says unless the original contract or law says they can, this means that anything in that contract, since you're liable and you're allowed, if you prove that the debt is mine in the first place, if you're allowed to uphold that original contract that I had with the original creditor, and you're able to enforce this type of things, then that means you can enforce, then that means the rights that I had under that contract, I can enforce if you were the original creditor. How many of your contracts have an arbitration clause in it? So that means I can not only get my case dismissed if you're trying to come after me from a lawsuit, but I can actually go through arbitration with you. If the contract says that all disputes, and if I have a problem with you, has to be handled with the binding arbitration agreement within that contract, okay, well, you own the debt now. Okay, you're trying to collect on the debt, so I can take you to arbitration. Case dismissed. Judge, they have no right to collect. They have no right to sue me because the contract itself says it's a binding arbitration agreement inside. Case dismissed. That's one of the easiest ways to get your case dismissed. Okay? Can't deposit a post-dated check early, and can't publicly reveal your debts, including by sending postcards or putting information on envelopes. So, hopefully, you guys get into, just getting familiar with and making it a habit to read these government websites. Because they'll tell you a lot. You'll learn a lot. So with that being said, if you found anything valuable in this video, make sure you click the link in my description and check out classes, ebooks that are really going to break consumer law down more in depth and make it so much easier for you to get remedy. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you found any value in this video, and stay tuned for more. I'll see you guys in the next one.